And Jesus gives the offhand answer that any counselor would give to any person who comes. So often people come to me and they say, Father, I have no peace. Pray over me. I can't sleep. Pray over me. There's no happiness, Father, in my family, in my life. Do something. Tell me, Father, what I should do. And I give an offhand answer to a person who comes casually like that. And Jesus gives the same answer. I would say to that person, are you a Catholic? Are you a Christian? Yes. Do you go to church? Yes. You say the rosary? Yes. You say your morning prayer, night prayer? Yes. Are you obedient to your parents? Yes. And exactly this is what this man is saying. So Jesus meets this rich young man casually who comes to him and says, what should I do to be happy? I have no peace. And Jesus says, keep the commandments. Practice your religion. And Jesus goes on narrating those commandments. Do not kill, do not commit adultery, do not steal, do not bear false witness, do not defraud, honor your father and mother. And as Jesus was going on narrating these commandments, this man must have been smiling. And therefore Jesus stops halfway only. He doesn't complete all the commandments. This man must have been smiling at Jesus and saying, Lord, don't go on with all the 10 commandments. I have kept all the commandments ever since I was a young boy, and still I'm unhappy. What are you telling me to keep the commandments? Not to commit adultery. I have never touched a woman even by accident. What are you talking about, adultery? He was smiling at Jesus, as Jesus was in all his simplicity saying, as we would say to anyone, pray, be obedient to your parents. If you are married, love one another, forgive one another. Say your rosary at home. This is what this man says. I have done everything. I have tried everything. I have tried every philosophy. This is what people say. People who come from the West to India, pouring in, you know it. They say, show me some ashram where I can go to find peace and happiness and learn to pray. Lead me to some guru. And if you just stop that man or woman and say, what is your background? They say, I was a Catholic. I'm disappointed. Show me a place where I can find peace in India. Lead me to an ashram. Lead me to a guru. And 99% of these people from the West who are pouring into India are Catholics who say, I have tried every philosophy to be happy, to find peace. I have tried every cult. I have tried even Christianity as we know it today. That's what people say. The young people, they're saying. We are unhappy, we are frustrated. We have tried Christianity as we know it today. We are saying the rosary at home with our parents. We go to church because mommy says go to church. We go for novenas. But Father, there is a vacuum inside. There is an emptiness. And that was my story even when I was in the seminary. I said prayers, but I till today don't remember a single day during those 10 years when I ever prayed. And there's a difference between saying prayers and praying. Prayer is a relationship. It's a communion. It's a fulfillment. Jesus did not say prayers. He prayed. He was in constant communion. He was enjoying a relationship with God. There was a fulfillment. There was a happiness within. And I never prayed. We said prayers in the seminary for 10 years. We said the rosary. We went for Mass because we had to go. But we were restless. I was restless. Even 4 years after my ordination, same. I said the Mass because I had to say. I sat for confession because I had to sit. I conducted funerals and weddings because I had to do it as a priest. But I was not convinced a bit. In the seminary, we were like forced to say our prayers. Now as a priest, I said, who is there to watch over me? I had given up my prayer. Because prayer was meaningless. Just saying those prayers from the breviary. Just saying. I sensed an emptiness, a vacuum within. Till finally somehow I was mechanical in my duties as a priest. I would hurry through the Mass in 15 minutes. On a Sunday, 20 minutes. People would ring up to the parish on a Saturday saying, when is Father James saying the Mass? They knew mine was the fastest. I would give them a quick tablet of 20 minutes and off they would go for their pictures, movies, to play cards, to have a drink somewhere. And I really did not know why people were ringing up to find out. I thought they really liked my Mass and my sermon. They wanted the quickest. I was a blind priest and the blind were following me. Almost the whole parish was blind. And my Mass was the most crowded Mass. Till things came to a climax when my father expired on the 2nd of January 1971. And 2 days after that, I was put out of the parish by my parish priest. Things came to a head for no reason at all. My bishop, the late Valerian Cardinal Gracious, supported me. He told the parish priest, you have no right to put out Father James. If you have any grievance against him, tell me. He tore that letter of the cardinal. And the cardinal said to me, James, I will give you any other parish, the best parish in Bombay, you name it. But you know I can't do anything with that priest. You know what he is. And I said, you are my bishop. I want justice. I'm just put out for nothing. It was a parish I loved. There are so many people here whom I met in the last 3 days who are from that first parish. I just met 2 this evening who are come here for the mission. I'm not lying. They know my story. The cardinal said, I'll put you in any parish. The best, you name it. I said, no. If I can be hurt so early in my life by a priest, what's the use of remaining a priest? I wanted to quit the priesthood. I asked the cardinal to give me a month's holiday so that I could reconsider whether I should remain in the priesthood or not. After the month got over, I extended to another month. And during this time when I was with my mother in Goa, just considering whether I should stay in the priesthood or get out, I received 2 letters of 2 priests who had left the priesthood. One after the other. 2 letters. And I said, why 2 letters should come? Maybe I am the 3rd one. But before I could leave, I wrote to my brother who was a captain at sea. And he always was telling me, why are you becoming a priest? See the lives of priests all around. They are like business people. They are so worldly. And I said, now my brother will support me. So I wrote him. He was somewhere in Japan. I said, I'm planning to leave. And I was surprised to receive his answer, his letter, when he said, Jimmy, think twice before you take the decision. It is true what I used to tell you about priests that I have been seeing all over the world, but doesn't mean that all priests are bad. Think twice. That made me think. I came to Bombay. I went to the cardinal. He said, you want any church? Name it. I said, no, Your Eminence. Put me wherever you want. I'm fed up. Put me in a church where there is no work. I was literally fed up. And I was already suffering now from gastroenteritis because of my frustration, my resentment, anger, and even revenge that I wanted to take on that priest. I was suffering from gastroenteritis. And I said, put me in any church. The cardinal put me in a church at Ballard Estate in Bombay. Hardly any work. It's an office area. Only 1 mass in the morning. So I was very happy. But I was sick again the way I was saying my Mass. And people could notice it. Till, praise God, one fine day, the Lord sent me His visitation. The Lord came to visit me in a young man who had met the Lord, a layman who was a junior to my brother on the ship. He was a second officer, a young man who visited you a few years ago, Fritz Mascarenhas. He was a second officer in the Merchant Navy on the same ship where my brother was. And we were close friends. This young man had met the Lord when he was in Japan. He was a born-again Catholic, and he was praying all the time for me that I would come to know Jesus. Few days he came to Bombay. He was fasting and praying. He did not know my story. He did not know what had happened to me, that I was put out of a parish and all that. 3 days he comes to Bombay to meet his sister who was sick. And those 3 days he comes and spends with me in the evenings. He opened the Bible and was talking about the Lord to me. And he said, Father, you will be a different priest if you give your life to Jesus. I said, what are you talking, give your life to Jesus? I have given my life more than you. You are a layman, I am a priest. This is what I did. But I was a sham. I was empty within. I could see this young layman was talking of Jesus as Jesus was alive to him. I was talking of a dead Jesus from the pulpit. I knew that, but I didn't want to face the truth. And I said, what are you talking? He says, Father, you will be a better priest. I said, I'm the best. What are you talking about better? Yes, Father, I know you are a good priest, but you will be 10,000 times better if you give your life to Jesus and if you are born again. I couldn't understand this language. Before leaving, he asked me to his blessing. I blessed him. He went back to Japan. He started praying for me. I started looking into myself. Every day I could see this young man had Jesus alive in him. Jesus was dead in my life. And I sensed, I did not know it was the Lord speaking to me those days. How long are you going to go on this way? You are a sham, you are empty, you are a fraud. How long are you going to bluff yourself and bluff the parish? I could sense it was the Lord speaking to me. I could see my true colors. Till one fine day I wrote a letter to him and I said, help me. I would like to have the Jesus that you have. He was so excited. He ran to the captain and says, praise God, Father James wants Jesus. The captain was wondering what was wrong with this fellow. He redoubled his prayer and fasting for me. He sent me 2 books. And he said, Father, this is the way you can be born again. There was no prayer group in Bombay those days in 1971. I went to a small Protestant group, a Pentecostal church. I didn't want to go to this place because somehow I had some resentment towards Protestants. I said they steal sheep and I didn't want to go there. But somehow after a month I was drawn to that place. And the day finally came when this couple, Mr. and Mrs. Jack Troke from New Zealand, they said, Father, Brother James, we would like to pray with you to be a born-again priest. I was afraid. I said, if you put hands on me, will I become a Protestant? I said. I was afraid. I said, it's better to be a priest and a bad priest than to be a Protestant. I was so scared if they put hands and something happens suddenly. What will the whole of Bombay say about me? And I praise God for this lady, Mrs. Jack Troke, who said to me, he said, Brother James, fear is not of the Lord. You take your time, and we don't want you to be a Protestant. Be careful if you become one. We want you to be a spirit-filled priest and renew your church. I can never ever forget those words. I received a healing in my heart towards the Protestants. I thought they all go around robbing sheep. But I knew they were genuine Protestants too. And this was a genuine couple. They said, We want you to be a spirit-filled priest and renew your church. Take your time and come back when you are ready. We will pray with you to be born again. Finally, that day came. I went after 15 days. They prayed with me. They were asking me to speak in tongues, but nothing was happening.